On the Mic Podcast.
Okay, welcome. So first, for those who don't know you, do you want to say just like a little intro, like who you are and what you do?
Yeah, sure. My name is Brian Fink. I am program director of iHeart's Evolution Radio. I'm also on the air on 93.3 FLZ in Tampa, Florida, a station in Memphis, another station here in Tampa, and then I host and produce America's Dance 30, which is a worldwide syndicated countdown show.
Just some questions. First question is, when you were a kid, did you even imagine you would be doing radio today?
You know what's so funny is I always ask like the artists that I interview that question, and I've never been on the other side of it. So it's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
But no, well, yes and no. So when I was growing up, I actually wanted to be a lawyer. But then I met somebody in radio, and I used to, when I was like 12 or 13, I used to win contests on the radio all the time. Like, I won everything from an actual quarter that was taped to the back of a business card to a trip to Disneyland in California. So I used to win everything. And when I was probably about 13, I met some people at our local radio station, and then I just fell in love with radio. So that was the moment that I knew that I wanted to be in radio.
That's cool.
Yeah, it definitely changed my entire path.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then, how did you get into the industry?
So, like I said, I was winning a contest on the radio station, multiple radio stations here.
Yeah.
And then met a lot of the people that were working at the radio stations. And when I was 16, one of the people that I knew at the radio station suggested that I start interning. And I thought it was the coolest thing. Like, I was all excited and just so happy to be a part of it. And then I realized that the reason that they wanted me to intern was to stop winning contests. And that's how I got into radio. I started interning when I was 16 and a half and haven't left. I've been here ever since.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I've just pretty much like started interning and then started producing one of our syndicated morning shows, started doing production, started being on air, and then just pretty much found my way into any department that would have me.
That's awesome. That's really cool. That's awesome you were able to do interning, and yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and back then, interning was like cleaning back parking lots and cleaning the vans and cutting banners and putting prize packs. I mean, it was definitely child labor back then, but we don't need to talk about that.
Yeah.
I think the statute of limitation has run out.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get into radio?
Just started doing internet radio. I did that in 2016, and yeah, and still doing it today.
And do you like it?
Yeah, it's fun. It's a nice hobby to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then first, a little fun fact, before the station hits 100, Arizona became station. It was a Christmas station before that, and I think I called it like Radio Christmas or something like that. So yeah, and then after that it became Hits 100 Arizona.
That's awesome. Do you still do Christmas music on it?
A little bit, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know people love listening to Christmas music around the holidays, so I'm sure that's great for ratings for you as well.
Then who were your early influences in radio or media that helped you shape your style?
Ooh. So one of the guys I used to work with, I was his intern. His name was Tom Steele, and he pretty much taught me everything that he knew, from programming to how to order lunch, because I used to get his lunch every day. But he would teach me everything in radio. And then there was not only him, but this guy I used to work with, Andrew Eden, who was in charge of the interns back then. He taught me a lot of stuff. pretty much just learned from everybody that I could and asked a lot of questions. And, a lot of people ask me like advice for radio. And one of my biggest piece of advice is just ask as many questions as you can. And that's what I did. I pretty much just asked everybody. Yeah. And then production wise, so I do a lot of commercials and imaging production for iHeartRadio. And one of the guys who I was lucky enough to learn from, his name is Eric Chase. He's an absolute genius in production. He's still doing production. And I was lucky enough to learn under him.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And then my style on air has changed a lot. Like, just through the time as radio has changed, my style on air has changed. And so I've, not only picked it up for myself, but also paying attention to a lot of people that are on the air and kind of not necessarily mimicking, but making it my own style, but learning from their style as well.
That's cool. I like that.
Yep. I'm kind of like a chameleon in radio. I just learn and pick up from everything surrounding me.
Good. And then, what's one thing that you wish someone told you when you first started in radio?
That's a dangerous question. Wow. Well, it's funny. Somebody actually gave me a good piece of advice when I was in high school, and they told me not to get into radio, and I didn't listen.
That's funny.
Yeah, and so I got into it.
Mm-hmm.
But I would probably say that I wish somebody had told me how difficult it was going to be and how ever-changing it was, because I probably would have been less stressed out through this 32 years that I've been in radio. That would probably be something that I wish somebody had told me early on, of how hard it is to stay in radio.
It's interesting. I like that.
That's a tough question. Good question.
Thank you. I used ChatGPT to come up with some interview questions, and I think that was one of the questions that it came up with. So,
Jacob, you should never admit that. What I think is you came up with all these questions yourself, right?
Some of them.
No, Jacob, all of them. You came up with all of them.
All of them?
That's better.
Yeah. It's interesting how ChatGPT and how AI is today is going to Yeah,
ChatGPT is definitely taking over.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've seen like the pictures that I've hopped on a lot of the trends, like making myself into an action figure and making my cat into an action figure. I mean, I kind of just want to limit what I'm using ChatGPT for so that it doesn't take over my life, but it's definitely very helpful.
Mm-hmm. It is.
But again, all these questions came from Jacob's head, not from ChatGPT.
Thank you. And another question. This isn't on the paper. What does a program director do, for those who don't know what that? Yeah.
So a program director pretty much does everything for the radio station. Make sure that everything is running properly, make sure that all the music is scheduled and taken care of, make sure that everything sounds right. If you have talent on the radio, they're in charge of the talent and making sure the talent is, in course, and making sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. Yeah, the program director is pretty much running the radio station and making sure that everything's running properly.
That's cool.
Yeah, but then along my line, so I'm pretty much the only one who programs iHeart's Evolution Radio. So not only do I make sure that everything sounds right, but I schedule the music, I produce all the imaging for it, I load all the artist shows that we have. Like, I do program director on steroids for Evolution Radio.
You do a good job with it.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Welcome. Then, speaking of Evolution Radio, as the program director, and on their talent at 93.3 FLZ, how do you balance creativity and strategy?
Man, these questions are tough. I didn't know I signed up for this. And we were talking about it earlier. I'm finding it harder and harder to balance everything just because all of us have so many responsibilities in life at our jobs. So I'm definitely finding it harder and harder to balance, but I just make sure my OC like up to here. I have to make sure that I've got everything. I've got a pad over here that I write down like all the stuff that every week I need to make sure that I stick to, because as you know, when you've got so much to do, a lot of
Yeah.
times stuff will fall by the wayside. So
Mhm.
I try to make sure to just keep track of everything. And I've got, with my OCD, I've just got schedules that I keep to and routines that I keep to. And that's kind of how I balance everything.
It's cool.
Yeah, like I said, and I know I've said it multiple times, but it's definitely getting tougher and tougher.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but being on the radio is definitely my passion, one of the things that I love doing more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that before I go on the air on Friday nights, I make sure to take a second to kind of separate the entire day that I've been doing all the tasks that I've been taking care of and make
Mm-hmm.
sure that I'm ready to be on the air.
That's good.
Yeah.
And then what do you like about getting to do a Friday night show?
What don't I like? So I used to do Saturday nights, and I was doing Saturday nights for 20 plus years. I was doing my show on Saturday nights, and then we moved it to Friday nights, but it's just, so the show is a mix show. So it's myself and DJ Jamie Ferreira does the mixing, and Berlander steps in every now and then. And it's just really a great way to be with a community and be with the listeners and be with friends that, you're just talking about the stupidest stuff and
Yeah,
just spending time together on a Friday night.
nice.
Yeah. So that's what I love. I mean, it just really, me being on the radio is kind of me to the umpteenth level. Like, I get my adrenaline going. Like, you don't obviously know me like on a personal level, but I'm a very
Yeah.
introverted, quiet guy. So Friday nights and whenever I'm on the radio, it just gives me a chance to kind of take the creativity that you were speaking of earlier and just kind of raise it to the umpteenth level.
Then what are some key qualities for you in a great radio? Yeah, what are some key qualities you look for in a great radio segment?
I'm not sure if I understood that one. One more time?
What are some key qualities you look for in a great radio segment or so?
Gotcha. So, like, when I'm done with the show, like, how do I know that it was a good show?
Yeah, or
Um,
doing
I
a
mean,
show or some, yeah.
yeah. I mean, I leave every show thinking it's a good show,
Mm-hmm.
so I probably can answer that question. But if I have good, listener interaction, then I know I had a good topic. If I didn't mess up, then I know that it was a good show. One thing that I'm very lucky with the Friday night show is that I've got DJ Jamie Ferreira and Berlander doing a mix. So if I'm not necessarily up to my level, like, being on the radio is kind of like being a clown, because you've always got to put a smile on your face.
Yeah,
No matter what's going on, no matter how stressed out you are, no matter what, you've got to entertain the listeners. So
yeah,
if there's a Friday night that I, maybe feel like I didn't do the best show, then I know that I've got DJ Jamie Ferreira and Berlander who do incredible jobs with the mixes, so they entertain the listeners as well. I think did I answer that question?
I think so. Yeah, sounds about right.
But walking away from a show, the way that I feel satisfied is if I had good listener interaction. Like if I had people texting in or calling in for whatever topic I'm talking about, then I know that it was a good show.
Good. Then, what inspired you to start America's Dance 30, and what sets it apart from other countdown shows?
So probably, I think it was 2018 now that I started it. I think. So I was actually looking for a pure dance countdown for Evolution to air on Evolution Radio, and there wasn't one. And I couldn't find anything that was, because of course, there's countdowns for Top 40. There's multiple countdowns for Top 40 Radio. And
Yeah.
I wanted a show that was just dance music. And unfortunately, there wasn't one. So what do you do when there isn't one? You create it yourself.
Yeah.
And that was my motivation to create America's Dance 30, was I wanted the countdown show. And it just kind of grew from there. And I think what sets it apart from other countdowns is my passion for it. I'm the one producing it. I'm the one hosting it. And ironically, so it's a almost 2-hour countdown show. It takes longer than 2 hours to produce it because that's how OCD I am about it, and that's how much I care about it. And I'm in no way saying that, whoever produces other countdown shows doesn't care as much as I do, but I think that's what separates it, is I've got such a passion for it that I hope that that comes out in America's Dance 30.
I like that.
Thank you. And, I've
Welcome.
got all the biggest artists in dance music that chat with me during the show. So, again, that's something that kind of separates it because, not all countdowns are lucky enough as I am. I'm blessed to have a lot of contacts and have those guests on the show.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that adds to it.
It does. Then, how do you choose the artists and tracks to be featured on the show?
So America's Dance 30 is straight up pulled from the media-based dance chart. So it's based on that. If there's like top 40 songs in there, like Lady Gaga or Ariana Grande or Ed Sheeran or any of those artists, I take them out because, in my opinion, that's not dance. That's top 40 remixed, and that's not what America's Dance 30 is. So, but it's based on airplay on dance stations across the country that are monitored by Mediabase. So that's the 30 for the top 30, and then there's also a song that I put at the beginning of the show that just missed out on the countdown. That's kind of bubbling up into the top 30, so I'll spotlight it there. And then I've also got another feature that's called the Buzz Beats of the Week that is either a song that I believe in, that I think is going to be big in dance music, or that's got a lot of buzz about it, or it's now a sponsored segment where an artist or, a producer or a record label can sponsor that segment and get their songs spotlighted on America's Dance 30.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then as for the artists that are on the show, either it's the #1 song or it's, in the top 5, or it's an artist that we're spotlighting on the show. Like we just had, for example, the icon Darude was on America's Dance 30, and he's been a friend of mine for 20 years, but I've never had him on the show. And it just so happened, that his publicist reached out to me, and he's celebrating 25 years of his project. So it was perfect to have him on the show.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Crazy 25 years.
Insane. And it's so crazy that I've known him that long. But I mean, Sandstorm, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, Sandstorm is used in like every sports arena. It's used to hype up. It's the one that, and I'm gonna regret doing this, but it's the one that's Please cut that out. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, so Sandstorm's been just an iconic song that it was amazing having Darude on the show to talk about it.
Cool. Then what's your vision for the station Evolution Radio, and how do you keep it sounding fresh and cutting edge?
Well, first of all, thank you for saying that. I don't know if that was
You're
you or
welcome.
ChatGPT, but thank you to both of you. My vision for Evolution is, first of all, to make it a station that any fan of dance music can listen to, Whether you're a fan of deep house or trance or dubstep or breakbeat or whatever, we play everything on Evolution Radio. And then it's also a station that I love listening to. I've been a fan of
Yeah.
dance music for going on 25 years now. So it's got to be something that I love listening to. And, it's funny. A lot of times I'll talk to a lot of DJ friends of mine, and they'll say that, after a show or after being at a club, they'll get in the car and they'll listen to music that has nothing to do with dance music just because they're so tired of hearing it. Me, on the other hand, I love listening to it so much that it's always what's on. Whether it's either Evolution Radio that I'm listening to or a podcast. Or sometimes just to cleanse the palate, I'll listen to a sports station or 93.3 FLZ just to cleanse a little bit. But
Yeah.
Evolution is always on because I'm such a fan of dance music. So if I hear something that I don't like when I'm listening, then I'll change it right away because I
Yeah.
know that possibly a listener is not going to like it either.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my vision for Evolution Radio. And how do I keep it fresh? Really, the music does that. There's so
Yeah.
much good dance music coming out that that's really what keeps it fresh.
Like that. And it's nice that there's like upcoming artists too that we can discover and find too.
Absolutely. Not only do we, have the biggest artists like Afrojack and Tiesto and Armin and David Guetta, but I'm also passionate about including artists that maybe are up and coming or
Yeah.
that don't necessarily have the huge releases like a David Guetta. Because in my opinion, if a song is good, it's good, no matter what,
Yeah.
no matter who produced it, whether it was Guetta or whether it's an up and comer. So
Yeah.
I love having music and finding music from up and comers as well that are good songs.
Mm-hmm. It's always nice to get the credit a little bit too, if they say the station name or who or name a little thank you to us. That's
Yeah, no,
always nice,
absolutely.
too.
Absolutely.
How do you decide which new artists or tracks get added to the rotation on the station?
That's honestly a gut thing. As long as I've been programming in radio, I've always programmed by my gut. A couple of reasons. One, because, again, I am such a fan of dance music that, if I don't like the song, then personally, I don't want it on the radio station. But there are times when, as as a programmer, we don't always hear every song at first. And so if there's a song that maybe on first listen I didn't hear as a hit, maybe down the line as I see it climbing the charts, I'm like, okay, maybe I should give this a re-listen. Maybe I was having a bad day when I listened to it. Maybe I had something in my ear when I was listening to it.
Yeah.
So I'll re-listen to it. And a lot of times, that third or fourth re-listen, I'll go, okay, I'm definitely missing this one. This definitely needs to be on Evolution.
Mm-hmm.
But I do pride myself on, on being, again, programming from the gut. And a lot of times there will be a song that's being pushed to me that I just don't think is a hit. And I will fight it tooth and nail. And then lo and behold, it won't really do anything. And I'm not going to be the one to say I told you so, but, that's kind of gratifying to know that, yes, my gut is right at times. But as you know, we get fed so many songs, not only by record labels, but by producers and singers and, promoters. There are so many songs that are being fed to us. And I always say this, when we're listening to those songs, if it's the 100th song that we're listening to, it's not going to sound as good as if it was the first one that we were listening to. So a lot of times, going back and re-listening to songs, you definitely have a different perspective on it.
Yeah. Like that. That's good. And then what do you think makes a dance track radio worthy in your opinion?
Oof. That's definitely a tough question. So I've got a couple of different philosophies on that, but one of them is I always say that I think a good dance song is when you can strip away everything. Like if you listen to it acoustically, if it's an amazing song, then you know that it's a good dance song. But what makes it worthy to be on the radio is, God, that's such a tough question to answer. If it's catchy, if there's some hook about it that, you can't stop singing. Perfect example. So this weekend, my Buzz Beats of the Week is a new song by Rudimental and Khalid. And every time I hear the song, I start humming it and singing along with it. And so that's a good key to me that, okay, there's something about this song that is very catchy, and it's a perfect dance song to be on the radio.
Yeah.
But I will say, on the other side of that, which a lot of times people come to me and say, oh, this is blowing up on TikTok, it should be on your radio station. I don't believe that, because I think that a song that could be blowing up on TikTok or on Insta Reels or whatever, it's being purposed for a different reason. You're watching a video with that, and it's just like 20 seconds, 30 seconds of a song. That doesn't make a 2.5-minute song a 3-minute song. So, that hook might be good for TikTok, but if the whole song isn't good, then I don't think it belongs on the radio.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I got into a lot of arguments about that.
I like
so
that.
Don't tell anybody I said that.
Okay, I like that. That's good.
What do you think makes a good song to be on the radio?
Probably like something catchy and something that like sounds good, like what you said.
Yep. It's got to have that hook that catches you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's tough.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of dance songs that are instrumental that do really well at festivals or at shows, at clubs and stuff like that. But being on the radio, an instrumental song is so much harder to be a song that listeners are going to gravitate to, because there's not necessarily as much of a hook to it as when there's vocals. Because when there's vocals, you sing along, you hum along to it, or it makes you feel something. With an instrumental track, it's tougher to do that. So there's only so many instrumentals that make it on the radio because of that.
For those who want to get started in radio and get their foot through the door to work at a station, what role do you recommend would be good to start out in first?
Don't do it. Don't do it. Run as fast as you can. No. I tell everybody, do whatever you can to get your foot in the door, whatever is available. And you and I and the whole world know that it's definitely harder to get into radio now as, more and more jobs get kind of put by the wayside. It's definitely harder and harder to get into radio, but whatever position is available that you can get yourself in the door, do it. And then once you're in, ask as many questions as you can, or try to find your way into whatever department you can. When I got into radio, I didn't want to be cutting banners. I didn't want to be cleaning vans. But I knew that doing that would someday lead to what I wanted it to be. And here I am.
Yeah, here you are.
Yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
Just whatever you can to get your foot in the door. As with any job, and it's not radio, it's not just radio, just the climate we're in, it's just so hard to find jobs that if you can't find exactly what you're looking for, find something at that company just to get yourself in the door. And then you can always just make yourself available to move to different departments.
Yeah, that's good. And then a little fun question. What's your favorite ice cream flavor?
You should have asked that at the beginning. I would, now, as this is going to suck every bit of creativity out of my body, and this is going to show you how boring I actually am, My favorite ice cream flavor is chocolate. I can't believe I'm actually saying that. It's like I am, as much, it pains me to say that because as creative as I feel that I am the most boring person when it comes to real life. I like chocolate and vanilla ice cream. I like plain hamburgers. I like cheese pizza. I am a very simple person in real life.
Same a little bit. I like cheese pizza, just plain old cheese pizza. And yeah, you can't go wrong with vanilla, plain old vanilla.
Exactly. So is vanilla your favorite ice cream?
Yeah, vanilla is one of them. I also like, I can't go on with cake batter from Cold Stone. I like the rainbow sprinkles mixed in. Then I also like the ice cream flavor from Salt and Straw, double full vanilla. And then,
Wow.
yeah, then I gotta have those rainbow sprinkles mixed in too. So, yeah.
Cold Stone is definitely dangerous. Every time I go into Cold Stone, I normally leave with like 10 pounds of stuff piled onto it. But it's just like putting gummies into ice cream is just so good. Oh, man. Great, Jacob. Now I'm going to have to leave here and actually get an ice cream with gummies in it. Thanks a lot. Good question.
To ask this question, like to the end of the podcast.
So I wasn't ready for that one. That definitely came out of left field.
Yeah.
Good question.
Thank you. Glad you like it. ChatGPT can't come up with that question. Only I can.
Wait, are you saying ChatGPT came up with that question too?
No, I did.
Now every other question it came up with, but that one came from the brain of Jacob. No, you're not supposed to agree with me, Jacob. You came up with every question. Come on. That was good.
Jumping back into the radio questions, what do you think has changed the most when you, with over 30 years in radio? What do you think has changed the most and, yeah, what's stayed the same?
So, what's changed the most is probably, I would say, technology. I mean, that's an obvious answer just because, when I started, we were on reel to reel, and now everything is digital.
Yeah.
So, probably what's changed the most is how everything is run in radio. As for what stayed the same, personality and being able to be a personality on the radio. But even that, that's gone through ebbs and flows too. There's been times where, it's been less personality and more personality and less person.
Yeah.
So that's definitely changed too. And I think that's changed a lot because of the different times that we're in. People's attention spans have gotten shorter and shorter. The way you do stuff on the radio had to change. Back when I started, you could have an artist interview for 5 minutes, 5.5 minutes, and there wasn't a problem with that. Now, there's no way you can do that. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't. That's a podcast. That's what podcasts are for. Everything is so fast paced now because of attention span getting less and less. So I think that's also what's changed the most. Yeah, that's probably what's changed the most and what's stayed the same, I guess. What's changed the most for you in the time that you've been doing it?
Probably maybe the thing that changed, probably AI, coming into all of this and all. Yeah. I think that would probably to me would be the best answer for me, AI coming in to all of that. And yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think that, just thinking back to, so my Saturday night show used to be pure underground dance music that didn't belong on the radio. I was just very lucky that I'm in a market that we had huge dance fans that were really into dance music. And so that's how the show was so successful back in the day. We were, you would have a song that was 7.5 minutes and not have a problem with it.
Yeah.
Now, songs have to be 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. It's get in and get out. Because again, people's attention spans are so short that, you just got to keep it moving.
Yeah. What do you think radio will be like in like 5 to 10 years?
Was that you or ChatGPT?
Me?
What will radio be like in 5, 10 years? That's really, really tough to answer because I don't know what technology is going to be like in 5, 10 years.
Yeah.
If you would have asked me if everything would have been this way, the way we are now, 5, 10 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to answer that. So I don't know. But one thing I do know is that radio will never go away because
Yeah.
people like listening and having you as their friend and having you, being personality on the radio. And that's something that will never go away because, yes, you can have like a Spotify that's just, no personality and it's just whatever songs, but that's not what you connect with. And people like to connect with people. And so that's why I think that radio will never go away.
Yeah. Like that. That's good. And then, what are the biggest challenges facing radio today, and how can the industry evolve?
So I definitely think the challenges are, and this is not just with radio, but even like you look at broadcast TV, there's just so many different choices, not only streaming services, but also social media to distract you. And, there are so many different options to keep your attention that I think that's, one of the things that is so challenging is to keep people listening to your station. But, that's what you gotta make your station something that it's enjoyable to listen to. And you gotta have people on it that are, that you can connect with and that you can call them friends and that, again, that you connect with. So I definitely think that's something that, is one of the challenges. But the way you work around that is you incorporate everything into your station or your platform or whatever so that people don't have to necessarily leave. They can get everything from you. Like with the iHeartRadio app, you can not only get stations, you can get podcasts, you can get, you can create your own playlists. So there's everything contained in iHeartRadio where you don't have to leave. You can just listen to everything in the app.
Yeah. That's always nice.
Absolutely.
And the preset thing too. That's
Exactly.
a super cool new feature that
Definitely.
they added. Did.
And it makes it so much easier to just, you hop into the app and you've got your presets right there, just like you do in your car, that it's literally just one tap and you can listen to your favorite radio station or your favorite podcast.
Yeah. And then, how do you stay motivated and creative after decades in the business?
That hurt. That hurt. Wow. A lot of energy drinks, a lot of Alani Nu. Staying motivated is definitely something that I fight with almost every single day because we've got so much to do and so many different responsibilities in our lives that it's definitely tough to be motivated. There's definitely times during the day where I feel like my brain stops and I feel like I'm just like staring ahead and I can smell the burning of my wheels trying to turn.
Yeah.
So that's definitely tough and an everyday battle that I go through, but it's the passion that keeps me motivated. I love doing what I'm doing. And so that's what keeps me motivated is having the creativity and being able to put out good products.
Yeah. It's good. It's good that you, like what you said, that you have like the passion.
Yeah.
Good.
And I mean, once the passion goes away, as everybody says, not only in radio, but in every industry, if you're not doing what you love, you've got to find something else to do. Because, I mean, you have to have passion for what you're doing. So Passion definitely drives me every day. And keeping a roof over my cat's head. Shout out Tucker.
That's good. I like that. Then who in radio would you like to give a shout out to and why?
Oof, who would I like to in radio? I guess I would give a shout out to everybody that I grew up with in radio that kind of took me under their wing and allowed me to be this punk 16-year-old who was a big pain in the ass back then. I was a kid just trying to, be in radio and think I was cool in radio. So I'd probably give a shout out to everybody back then, like, God, we don't have enough time for me to name everybody, but, Tom Steele was definitely somebody that took me under his wing, and he's still doing radio as well. Jennifer Jordan and Jeff Thomas, Jeff Capugi, Mark Chase, BJ, Domino. Yeah, I'm going to be horrible when I have to accept an award. I'm going to have to write everything down because I'm going to be one of those people that forgets, if I've got a wife at that time, I'm going to forget my wife. So I'm going to have to write it down. But yeah, everybody that I was able to learn from that took me under their wing and dealt with me as this punk kid being annoying, those would be the people that I would give shout outs to. And now, it doesn't just limit to back then. There's still people like Tommy Chuck, who's, my boss here in Tampa. He is somebody that I've been able to learn through the years and that has kind of taken me under his wing as well. And I've learned a lot from. Yeah. But there's definitely way too many people to give shout outs to.
Yeah. Well, this will be like a 3-hour podcast or something.
Exactly.
Like that. The last and important question is, where can everyone follow you and listen to you?
I thought it was going to be more about ice cream. Damn. So on Instagram, I am Brian Fink. On YouTube, I am Brian Fink. X at Brian Fink. On TikTok, I am Brian Fink. And then at America's Dance 30, at Evolution Radio on all platforms. I think that's it. At 933FLZ. I am Tucker on Instagram.
Shout out to your cat.
Yeah, shout out Tucker. As you know, if you follow me on socials, he is my everything. So he is just my bundle of joy. That's my son. So yes, shout out to Tucker. But yeah, that's where you can follow me. If you weren't able to get that, just check out brianfink.com or America's Dance. And yeah, that's how you can follow me.
And then can you let everyone know who's watching and listening to the podcast to subscribe and follow the podcast?
Absolutely. Make sure to, and it's such an easy, it annoys me that people don't do it because it is so easy to subscribe and follow. Just click that button. Just follow and subscribe. Jacob is putting a lot of work into this.
Thanks. You can even add the podcast and put it as a preset, I think, on the iHeart app. So
absolutely. And your stations. Add those as presets on iHeartRadio as well. It just makes it so much easier to find.
Yeah.
And again, not only can I thank you for having me on the podcast, but thank you for carrying America's Dance 30 on your station. And thank you for reaching out initially and wanting America's Dance 30 on the station. It really means a lot to me.
Welcome. Anytime. And thanks
I appreciate
again
that.
For producing amazing and awesome content every day.
You are very welcome. I'm doing it just for you.
I love it.